If you can get this right, then nothing else matters. Your channel will completely explode and it'll feel like cheating. This video, I will take 3 years of experience with YouTube and try to condense it into one system that I wish someone had taught me when I first started out. I call it the 1-hour YouTuber system because when most people are starting out on YouTube, they have tons of other things going on in their lives, so it's unreasonable to think that you'll drop everything and start making videos 8 hours a day. My channel recently hit 100,000 subscribers, which completely blows my mind, and it's absolutely changed my life in terms of finances, my mindset, the enjoyment I get from doing the things I like doing, stress levels, and more. If you're new here, let me tell you about how I first started my channel, and this might be the single best thing I could have done by accident because it was like a punch in the face that set me up with the right mindset to get through the hardest part of YouTube, which is the beginning, the 0 to 1,000 subscriber phase. When you're stuck there, it's like dragging yourself through mud. It feels slow and pointless. So when I first started my channel, I decided to come up with a goal for it. It seemed like a formality to me at the time, but I thought I might as well. So I pulled a random number out of my 500 euros a month. That's how much I wanted to make. I was a student at a time, so it seemed reasonable. I also heard that writing down your goal on a piece of paper makes you more likely to achieve it. So I did that too. After doing that, I picked up a calculator to run the numbers and calculated that I would need over 300,000 views per month to get to my goal of 500 euros a month from YouTube AdSense. That number was scary. How much? Before I had written it down, I thought, it will be like a few thousand views, and I'll be making 500 euros a month easy peasy. But the number I actually had to hit was not 10 times, but 100 times larger. This was the part where I felt like I got punched in the face. Seeing the number right there in front of me immediately opened my eyes and reset all expectations. But at that moment, I also remembered watching a YouTube video where I heard this quote: "Pursuing a 10 times bigger goal is not necessarily 10 times harder. It's just a different path." So I asked myself, if someone else in the same position as me had achieved this goal, what would they have had to do? And I listed a bunch of things in my note-taking book. Some of these seem funny now, but lo and behold, exactly 595 days after writing down the goal, I achieved it. I pulled this goal completely out of thin air. It just seemed like a nice number. But without the goal, there's no way I could have done it. I would have quit after a few weeks at best. But it took 1.6 years, 595 days. And right now, I think of starting a YouTube channel as one of the best decisions I ever made. What's kind of strange was that realizing that it would take 10 times more views to reach my goal was actually a good thing. If it only took a few thousand views per month, I might not have even tried that hard because that felt attainable. But 330,000 views per month, that felt impossible. Having a goal that felt out of reach made me try so much more because I knew that half-assing it wouldn't work. I had to commit and actually try. Setting a goal that's so high you think it's impossible can increase your chances of actually achieving it because A, there are a lot fewer people aiming for big goals, which means that there's less competition, and B, the goal is actually motivating. Right, so after you've set a goal, even an experimental one, how do you now make strangers on the internet want to watch your stuff? When I first started out thinking about making YouTube videos, I had absolutely no clue what I was doing. I had been in analysis paralysis for a few months, watching videos on how to hack the algorithm, but none of it mattered because I simply didn't start. I was afraid of what other people would think. I despised the sound of my own voice. I couldn't decide on my niche and so on. And this overthinking held me back for so much longer than it should. It's like trying to steer a car that's not moving. No matter how much you turn the wheel, the car won't turn because it's not moving. The wheel will eventually lock and you're stuck. But when the car starts moving, you can easily turn the wheel and the car turns. It's the same with a YouTube channel. You can only start making progress once you start moving. When you haven't published a single video, there's so much inertia holding you back. So my advice to my younger self would be this: start out and make 3 videos, no matter how bad they are. Here the topic doesn't matter. Talk about something you're interested in. Like, here I have this knife. I could talk about what I like about it and what I use it for. This is only about beating the fear of starting and getting in motion. But this part isn't easy by any means. It's actually the hardest part. It's where you'll learn how to use video editing software and how to upload a video onto YouTube. You'll make your first thumbnail. It's where you settle in. It's also when you'll realize that making videos takes time. But there isn't a YouTuber I know that started out making videos when they magically had more free time. Everyone I know made time for their channel. I did the same. I decided to make videos for 1 hour per day. I found that that's the sweet spot of when you can make progress but not burn out at the same time. Now, if you're interested in learning how to apply the things I know about YouTube to your channel and get results like this, I made a template that essentially lays out the entire YouTube blueprint of how to win. By the way, it's free. Most templates like this are just thrown together as an afterthought. This one has gone through many iterations of trimming out the fat to ensure it's as dense with value as possible. It'll teach you everything you need to know to kickstart your channel, from finding your niche and starting out, to creating thumbnails and titles, growing past 1,000 subscribers, making money, and a lot more. But it's only for channels that are serious. It's not some feel-good fluff to passively consume. It's not some magic bullet either. It's for people that are ready to do the work. You can get it down below from the link in the description. Right, so when you've got over the fear of getting started, you can focus on making the next 10 videos and getting better with each one. This is where you can start thinking about the topic, how you title the video, and the value your video provides to someone. Here it's useful to put on a viewer hat and imagine you're casually browsing YouTube right before eating your meal and you happen to stumble upon your own video. When I finish making a video, it's usually never the final draft. I always sit back and rewatch it again, trying to imagine that I'm the viewer watching it, not an editor watching it. And I always end up removing or re-editing like 30% of the video because it's boring. And this always happens, no matter how hard I try to make it work the first time. When I watch it, imagining myself as a viewer who's just here to relax and enjoy some content, the perspective changes, and during some parts of the video, I find myself mindlessly opening up YouTube or looking at my phone. That's when I know that the people watching it will also do the same. So I go back and remove those parts. Think about how you watch YouTube. You get bored, you click off. You see a cooler video in the sidebar, you click off. The intro is too long, you click off or skip ahead. And the people watching your videos will do the same. 99% of people don't care about you. They want to relax, laugh, and be entertained. Some want to learn something, maybe have a video in the background while they eat. Maybe they want to see a familiar person they like. So the more you try to focus on the person watching and the more value you try to provide them, the higher the likelihood that they'll stay and watch. And the next time they're having a meal and they see your video on their homepage, they'll be more likely to click on your video because they had a great time last time. This is also where something called the mere exposure effect can come into play. It's a psychological phenomenon by which people tend to develop liking or disliking for things merely because they're familiar with them. Sometimes when I see a video from a channel that I've watched numerous times, I don't even care what the topic is about. I immediately click because I know I had a great time watching their videos many times in the past, so my brain automatically tells me that this time I will get the same feeling. Now, once you start making these 10 videos, you'll start noticing that your videos are horrible, and that's okay. This is where the goal becomes to fail as fast as humanly possible to learn what doesn't work. It will take like 50 videos to learn what not to do, so get rid of those first 50 videos as fast as possible. Fail faster and you'll get where you want to go faster. This is a lesson that I learned just recently, and I shared it in my email newsletter that I send out every month about things that I discover. I link it down below. If you've read Atomic Habits or watched any of these self-improvement YouTube videos, then you probably know how powerful and life-changing habits can be, especially ones like these. I'll call them the good habits. And for the past 3 years, I've been doing a lot of these good habits every single day. But around 2.5 months ago, a weird thing happened. I was about to start working on a YouTube video that was quite long, so I knew it would take a lot of time to edit. I assumed it would take me at least 1.5 weeks before I could hit publish because 1, it was a much longer recording than usual, and 2, because more than half of my day was already filled with all the good habits I was doing, so there was little space to work on the video. But as I sat there looking at the raw recording, a thought popped into my head. What if I just ignored all the good habits for a few days and laser focused on getting that video done? Could I do it in 3 days? I decided to give it a go, and this felt like I unlocked a superpower. Not only did I do it in 3 days, but I suddenly felt strangely motivated to keep working even though I was doing way more work than before, and I no longer felt held back by the good habits stealing time away from me. And I didn't stop there. I did this for the next video and the next and the next, and 2.5 months later, this is what happened to my channel. The views went up by over 242%, from 2.1 million to 5.1 million compared to the previous 2.5 months. And seeing this now makes me feel pleasantly surprised and completely stupid because it took me so long to realize that if I stop doing these self-improvement habits and focus on improving the stuff that matters, the stuff that matters gets better. Duh. A few days back, I also watched a video from Andrew Kirby, and he helped me put everything into simple words. What is the #1 biggest problem that I have in my life? What's the one problem that if solved would catapult me forwards in life? Focus on fixing that one problem and ignore everything else. Now, I'm not saying that meditation or exercise are bad. Quite the opposite. These habits are among the best things you can possibly do for your physical or mental health. Nor am I saying that views on social media are what matter. What I am saying is that if you have a bigger problem in your life, a problem that, if solved, could immediately get rid of 80% of the stress in your life, then journaling or meditating for 10 minutes a day is not going to solve it. Solving the problem will solve it. So coming back to the YouTube channel, if I were starting from scratch, I would make it a priority to fail as fast as possible, to make and get rid of those first 10 to 50 videos that are required to learn what doesn't work, so that after I finally make them and get rid of them, I could start doing what works. Now, while making these videos, I would try my absolute best to do mini experiments with each video. And as soon as I would see something working, I would do more of that. There's this thing that generally we tend to have a better chance at winning when we focus on our strengths rather than our weaknesses. And oftentimes, because of the school system or the way we were taught as children, we tend to ignore our strengths and focus on fixing our weaknesses. This is not only demotivating, but you also end up competing with someone whose strength is your weakness. But leaning into things that you're already great at is not only motivating because it feels good to do things that you're good at, but it's also an insane competitive advantage because others aren't as good as you. So for example, if I know a lot about knives and they interest me, but then I see someone make a video about Excel tips and tricks and that video absolutely blows up, but I know nothing about Excel, then I shouldn't make a video about it. Ideally, I'd want to be making videos where I have a competitive advantage. Being interested in a topic more than other people is also an advantage, because in the long term, you'll be able to destroy someone who's not interested in the topic and is only making videos on it because of monetary gain. Many people also think that the only advantage there is the topic that you choose for your video, aka your niche. But that's not the case. Even if you pick an insanely saturated topic, there's so many other ways to stand out. Things like video length, humor, production quality, storytelling, video pacing, either fast or slow, how you speak, insights that you bring, budget, the format, your authenticity, and how deep you go in the topic. These are just a few things that could make you stand out. This is something that the authors of the book The Blue Ocean Strategy talk about. Essentially, if you want to find out what to do in order to make your competition irrelevant, you can draw a graph like this. On the left side, there's a rating from 0 to 10, and at the bottom, there are the competitive factors. These can be anything that an industry competes on, like video length, what's in the thumbnail, humor, video pacing, etc. And then what you can do is look at a channel or multiple channels in your niche and rate these factors for their channel from 0 to 10. For example, if someone spends a lot of money on their videos, I'd rate their budget a 10. Then you do the same for yourself. Think about ways that you can stand out. And you don't have to stand out on all the fronts. It wouldn't make sense. Even just one thing that you do completely differently from the competition can make you stand out. For example, if your competitor doesn't tell stories in their videos, you could lean into that and tell a lot more stories. Or if they make 8 to 10 minute videos, you could make 2 to 3 minute videos or 30 to 40 minute videos. And what you'll get at the end are these value curves. If yours and your competitors look similar, it means that you're doing the same thing as them. And it's going to be super hard to stand out. In order to stand out, you have to do something different by definition. But if they look something like this, then you have a much higher chance of winning because you differentiate yourself from the rest and you become almost your own unique niche, a one-of-one channel that doesn't exist anywhere else. Now, some areas like audio quality and the way you speak are insanely important to get right. And I struggled with this for a while. I noticed that I almost never choose to watch a video that has audio sounding like this. Hello there, in today's video we'll be looking at how to change the mouse cursor. So here's what I did to make my videos sound better. The first and most important thing is speaking close to the microphone, roughly 15 centimeters or 6 inches away. You can easily measure that from the end of your pinky to the end of your thumb, unless you don't have either of those fingers. Speaking close to the microphone will improve your audio quality like nothing else. The second thing is reducing background noise as much as possible, closing the windows, turning off the AC, and dialing down the fans on your laptop. If you have a few pillows, you can also place them near where you record to reduce reverb or echo. That's when sound bounces off flat surfaces like walls or ceilings and comes back to the microphone. And there's the microphone itself. It's hands down the first piece of gear that you should upgrade once you start making money from YouTube. People will still watch a video if the video quality is bad, but not if the audio quality is bad. I'm using the Fifthline K688 microphone to record now, but for the vast majority of my videos, I used the built-in microphone on my MacBook and my iPhone. I also got quite a few emails of people asking how how to improve speaking to the camera and how to improve speaking English if that's not your native tongue. English is the most understood language in the world with over 1.5 billion speakers, so it makes sense that a lot of people want to create content in English to reach a wider audience. A general rule I follow when recording is that as soon as I press record, the camera removes 15% of my enthusiasm by default. So in order to get back to the baseline, I have to add an extra 20%. I would probably speak like this when talking to a friend, and like this when talking to the microphone. And when it comes to the way you speak and the pronunciation of words, probably the best way to improve is with deliberate practice. For example, using a technique called mirroring. It's when you turn on a video of a YouTuber with an accent you like, you watch for a few words, then stop the video and try repeating what they said in the same way they said it with the same intonation and accent. Do this for a few minutes per day, and after a month, your speech will start sounding a lot cleaner, more confident and articulate when you talk to the camera. The next problem that you'll probably run into once you start making videos is that you'll quickly realize that it takes a lot of time, especially in the beginning. In fact, in the beginning, it took me around 6 hours to make just 1 minute of video. That's how insanely inefficient I was. I used to sit for hours refining the script, remaking the screen recordings, and editing the video. But over time, by making a lot of videos and failing over and over again, I was slowly able to figure out what 20% of things I should focus on, and most importantly, what 80% of things I should completely ignore. With YouTube, efficiency doesn't matter as much as effectiveness. Working on the right things matters a lot more than just doing a lot of work. So if you want to learn how to grow a YouTube channel efficiently too, you can check out the template I mentioned before. It's a dense and detailed guide that will help you apply all the things I learned about growing a YouTube channel to your YouTube channel. You'll find it down below. And finally, don't take it too seriously and try to have fun. I found that it's really hard for me to do something consistently if I don't enjoy it. Relying on willpower alone can only get you so far because eventually you'll have a bad day and give up. What can help create discipline is incorporating little elements of fun, like a reward.
It's like a reward.
Like a reward after finishing recording or creating a nice environment to work in. For me, even little things like cleaning my desk, changing my desktop wallpaper, or customizing the mouse cursor help keep it more fun and enjoyable to do work. Speaking of starting a YouTube channel, at the start, editing will take up most of your time. So instead of jumping in and learning an advanced video editing software from scratch, what most people do is start with a simpler software, and then once they outgrow the features that it offers, only then they transition to more advanced software. In fact, that's what I did when I first started making videos on YouTube. And so a great, easy to use video editor is Movavi. They're sponsoring this video. Their video editor is available for both Mac and Windows and offers easy cutting and trimming of clips, a bunch of effects and transitions, as well as fast processing of 4K videos. When editing a video, you can import your footage by dragging it in, then cut out all the unnecessary parts with the blade tool and join your clips together. Then record a voiceover on top, trim it up as well, add a few effects, and export your video in glorious 4K resolution. It also features an effects store that gives you access to thousands of effects and themed effect packs right from the app's menu. You can create awesome videos in any style with their huge collection of professionally designed effects. If you want, you can also try out the editor for free with a watermark on your video, which will let you explore what it offers and help you decide if it's right for you. To check out the Movavi video editor, check out the link in the description and use the code EASYEDIT to get 27% off the 1-year subscription. I hope this video was helpful or interesting in some way, and I'll see you in the next one. How cool is that?